Let's talk about the draft. Here in the United States, we have the Selective Service System, which dictates that all males between the ages of 18 and 25 are automatically enrolled into this system so that if there is a national emergency and war is declared, we can enact the draft or conscription services. If you are a male between the ages of 18 and 25 and you fit one of these criteria, you are required by U.S. law to register within the draft system. U.S. citizen, a U.S. dual citizen, regardless of what country you live in, a legal permanent resident, that means that you have a green card, an undocumented immigrant, I'm sure you can't wait to fight for the United States, refugees and asylum seekers because, trying to escape war from your own country. I'm sure you wanted to fight for us instead. And men with expired visas. This also includes anybody living in Puerto Rico, Guam, the U.S. Virgin Islands, the Northern Marianas Islands, and any American Samoa that has been living in the United States for at least 1 year. Those exempt from the draft are women, men on active duty, non-immigrant visa holders. This means diplomats, students, and tourists. Men who have been continuously institutionalized between the ages of 18 and 25 for at least 30 days with no less than 30 days in between being housed. Basically, if you've been in an institution or a correctional facility for years and years and years, you are not eligible for the draft. And men born before 1960. Congratulations, we didn't make the cut. Although it should be noted that Congress is currently debating whether or not women should actually be required within the SSS. So let's say a national emergency is declared and the draft is enacted. Who's up first? Glad you asked. And that is any man who is 20 or turned 20 years old this year in 2026. And why this year specifically, you ask? Because in 2024, the House of Representatives passed the automatic registration of the National Defense Authorization Act, or the NDAA. What that means is starting December 18th of this year is that all men are automatically enrolled on the SSS as soon as they turn 18, because technically right now, if you have turned 18 and you are between the ages of 18 and 25 and you haven't registered yourself for the SSS, you're technically committing a felony. Yeah, you watching this right now, if you haven't registered for the draft, you're a felon. This means that you might not be able to be employed by the federal government, or you might not be eligible for certain federal government assistance. Now, technically, the U.S. does require both the presidential and congressional approval to enact the draft. However, this administration has not actually gone to Congress for approval for anything so far. So I don't think that Congress approval is gonna be needed, but that's just my personal opinion. What I do think is extremely noteworthy, though, is the fact that this program, the Selective Service System program, the cost of maintaining it is over $30 million every single year. And the reason I bring this up is because it's well known that the SSS system isn't actually effective, because even if people register, which most people don't, and by people I mean men, most of these men don't update their addresses as they move. So even if the draft were to be enacted tomorrow, they wouldn't be able to contact most of the people on the list because the information isn't up to date, because our government is incredibly inept. Experts on the subject have unanimously agreed that this is not an effective system, and having a draft doesn't mean that people are going to show up. In effect, it is useless. It is a vestigial limb that just costs taxpayers money. And the only reason it is still around is because both Republicans and Democrats refuse to let it go, because they want to make sure that when the U.S. goes to war, because it's not an if, it's a when, they want to make sure they have an endless supply of humans to throw onto the front lines. Uncle Sam wants you, and at the end of this year, you're going to be on the list whether you ask to be or not. If you would like to register for the draft, you can go to USA.gov, and if you wear a red hat, you better goddamn go there right the fuck now. Because nothing is more American than starting a war for oil and sending off our young people to die for it. This message is brought to you by the No New Wars president.